Hey everybody, this is Mike with the One Stop Co-op Shop, and today I'm reviewing Hercules and the 12 Labors. And disclaimer that I played a prototype version of the game that might not be entirely identical to the final version. In the game, which is a solo dice placement game, you control Hercules going through their famous 12 Labors, and you face off against each labor kind of like a boss, rolling dice and mitigating them with reward card powers to try to match the boss's requirement, to damage them before they advance too far and damage you too much, all while trying to also achieve divinity on a separate track. And while you can play the labors as one-offs, the idea is to play it as sort of a little mini campaign over the course of maybe 2 hours to get all the way to the end of the 12 labors and ascend to godhood. So let's discuss 5 key things to know about Hercules and the 12 labors. So first, my number 5 point, the least important to know about the game, but still important enough for me to include, is the theme and the sort of thematic integration. So first of all, they've got a double-sided card for each of the 12 labors to kind of walk you through the storyline. The writing's fine. There are some like little errors and sort of awkward writing I saw as I was perusing through it, but it's great if you're not familiar with the mythology and you want to kind of get the basic idea of what's going on. And then often what's going on in the story and kind of what Hercules had to face in the battle is modeled in the mechanics of the boss. Like the Hydra is going to heal over and over again, kind of representing their heads coming back. And also the art on the cards is great. I love the gold embossing effect here, even though it's only a prototype, it still looks great. Next, my number 4 point is focused on the mood cards in the game, and this is a mix for my taste. So at the beginning of each of the labors, you're going to draw a random card from this mood deck, which always has 9 cards in it, and a few of them are positive and help you out. The rest are negative, and sometimes they're negative in like really bad ways that can make it potentially impossible for you to beat specific labors based on their requirements. So on the positive side, the mood cards give a little bit of variety to the play so that each labor doesn't play out the exact same way. And in a cool thematic touch, cards will get replaced in the mood deck as you play through the labors to represent the people that have been killed along Hercules' journey and just kind of the trauma he's faced. But I'm not sure the variety is worth the swinginess because, again, it could just kind of like ruin your game and totally mess up a labor or make it incredibly easy based on which card you get. My number 3 point, which is also a mix, are the reward cards you get as you defeat the labors. So after you beat each labor, you get to flip it over, and it's going to give you some immediate rewards, but also an ongoing power or mitigation option to help you with your dice placement. And with later labors that have multiple cards, you'll have multiple options to choose from to kind of give you different paths to take in your leveling up. And on the positive side, you're going to get more dice, more mitigation. The dice puzzle will become more intricate as you get all these powers to play with. But on the negative side, in my plays, I've found that sometimes one reward seems like way better than the others and kind of obvious to take unless you want to just make the game harder for yourself, which is totally fine, but I don't usually like those kind of difficulty settings that are kind of forcing the player to play poorly to make the game more challenging. What I wish they had done, and I guess this is a pretty easy house rule to implement, is maybe like randomize which card you get or like randomly take one option out of the selection, but still getting the rewards, leveling up, making the choices of how to use all these cool powers you get. That is a lot of fun. My number 2 point, which is a full pro for my taste, are the labor cards themselves. So first of all, they are beautiful, as I already mentioned. They have a lot of variety in the composition of the cards and how they're actually put together, as you can see here. They also have a lot of variety in the actual labor dice of things you have to defeat, because sometimes it's just one set of dice moving around and triggering negative effects. Sometimes it's a whole bunch and you're kind of racing to defeat them all. There's also sometimes choices in which direction to go and which negative effects you got to deal with. Now, the core mechanics remain the same, so eventually it can feel a little bit samey if you try to go through all 12 labors in one sitting. I do recommend breaking it up. And also, I have found that certain labors tend to have sort of a best strategy, like I think a first die that is kind of obvious to defeat early. But I do want to give credit to the labor design, how each one has its own mechanics, its own dice you have to reach with your rolls. Really cool stuff overall. And finally, my number 1 point, the most important thing to know about the game, is a mix for my taste, and that's the actual dice placement. So the core mechanic is fun. You're rolling a certain number of dice. You are mitigating them with different powers you've unlocked, and then placing them both on the actual labor to damage it, but also on your existing reward cards to gain divinity, to heal, to block damage. So there is some good stuff going on here, especially when you get to the later labors. The first 2 or 3 kind of feel like they're on autopilot because you have so few powers unlocked that there's not that much to do yet. But the reason this is a mix for me and not a full pro is that within a given labor, I did feel like I would sort of find a general groove of how I wanted to use my powers. So while there were interesting tactical decisions to make with the dice placement, I often felt like I was kind of going through similar motions each time I played. So overall, if you're looking for a quick playing dice placement game, if you're a fan of Greek mythology, then Hercules and the 12 Labors might be fun for you. But on the other hand, if you're looking for deep strategy and deep combos in your dice placement, like you might see in, I don't know, one deck dungeon, I don't think this game will measure up. And also if you want tons of variety, the game sort of follows a repetitive path each time, so it's not the best one for that. And if you want to see the game in action, check out my recent playthrough. Thanks for watching, everybody. Good gaming, and I'll see you at the next stop.